welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be discussing why the GOP needs to forget about the Sunbelt, and I guess we need to focus more heavily on the Rust Belt. Please let me know if in the future you want me to be making more videos on things like political strategy in terms of like electoral strategy. If you guys want me to make these, I could. I haven't done many of these. I would think that they can be hard, but they seem like they could be kind of fun. So please let me know if you guys do want me to do these. But this is 2020 just with the 2024 map. And by the way, this is mostly applicable to 2024. By 2028, the strategy could hurt them, but to be fair, they're probably going to lose 2028 regardless of what happens. So looking at this, just because by 2028, North Carolina is going to be too blue, and Texas could potentially flip. But looking at this, so they're essentially two different. This is fairly broad, I guess. Actually, not necessarily. If we just look at like two different main types of candidates, you have establishmentarian moderates, people like Joe Biden, or not even necessarily moderates. Traditionals, people like Biden on the left, Romney on the right, or I guess more central. Not necessarily centrist. They're not like centrist, but they're more moderate. They're traditional, I guess, for the parties. I would say that Biden's probably more moderate than Romney. But, they are still both fairly traditional. Biden's like a traditional, moderate, whereas Romney's more of just like a traditional Republican, I guess. But we have those, types of candidates. And we also have more farther to their side of the aisle, populist. People like Bernie Sanders on the left and Donald Trump on the right. So, looking at these types of candidates, I guess this is making the case for why the GOP have a better chance with Trumpist candidates as opposed to moderates like Romney. And honestly, the Democrats probably have a better chance with people like Bernie. For whatever reason, they are both, neither party is, or the Republican Party is, the Democratic Party, what are they doing? I mean, like, it seems like they've been dealt a fairly strong hand with people like Bernie, that they could have run Bernie twice. Obama was a really good candidate, so they did run him, which is a good idea. But Bernie would have been a very good candidate, I believe. There were probably other people in 2020. I think that Biden was probably the second strongest, other than Bernie. But you still had people like Kamala Harris and like Pete Buttigieg who would have been fairly strong candidates. But if they weren't going to run Bernie, I would think that they would run Biden, and like they did. He is the second best Democrat. But we are not talking about the Democratic Party shooting themselves in the foot in elections. We are currently talking about the GOP and why, if they want to win, they should probably run Trumpists. So, looking at this, I mean, like, Lindsey Graham was right when he said that the future of the GOP is in Trump, or I guess is with Trump. I don't necessarily know that he meant, if he's talking politically, I mean, like, I'm not going to praise, or I'm not going to, I guess praise, or it's the opposite of praise, denounce. I guess that's, yeah, denounce. I was going to say deny that. That's not, like, a factual thing that I can agree with, or, like, whatever. You know what I mean. I'm trying to find a good way to say it. Like, the opposite of deny is accept, but it's, like, not like a fact, but you could deny something being a fact, or accepting, I guess, that it's a fact. But, I'm not gonna, denounce or praise Lindsey Graham if he was talking politically, or that Trumpism is better, or whatever. However, if he was talking about elections, and in terms of winning elections, I do think that he was right. On the national level, it depends on the state. If you're in Arizona, then no, that's stupid. But on the national level, he was right if he was talking about electoral politics. So looking at this, like over 4 minutes into the video, but we're finally gonna start. Just me not. Hopefully that'll be the end of me ranting about things that aren't entirely related. But looking at this, I think that they probably should run Trump as populist candidates if they want to win. Because looking at this, and they should forget about the Rust Belt, or the Sunbelt. If you were to run a moderate establishmentarian candidate, let's just use Mitt Romney and Donald Trump as examples. If you were to run Mitt Romney in the GOP, he would do fairly well in the suburbs. Yes, he would do all right in the suburbs. So he'd be able to carry Arizona. He'd probably lose Georgia, and this is one of their problems. The Sunbelt is they're losing the Sunbelt. the suburbs are gonna continue to shift to the left. It's not like the Democrats in the Rust Belt, where they have a chance with the working class. The suburbs are gonna continue to shift to the left. You can just slow down the shifting. Even in like Georgia, most Republicans wouldn't have the strength of the black vote to be able to carry. You'd have to have insane white rural turnout, which is where Trump could actually be useful. But let's say they even carry that. They still don't win the election. Even if they somehow carry Nevada, they don't win. If they carry Virginia, they win. They're not going to carry Virginia, almost certainly. Carry New Mexico, they win. They're almost certainly not going to carry New Mexico. So their path to victory is not in the Sunbelt. And I think that with the GOP, where it is, you essentially are either going to run an establishmentarian moderate or establishmentarian traditional or a Trumpist populist. However, if you sweep these 3 states up in the Rust Belt, you do win. If you're a Republican and you win these 3 states, you win. In fact, even if you lose Wisconsin, which you're not going to lose Wisconsin if you win Michigan, you still, it still is technically a tie. I mean, like, they do all that stuff like the House or whatever. I need to read up more on that, probably. I probably should. I don't need to. I'm not going to die. I think I'm not going to die. If I don't, I hope I'm not about to die. But regardless, this is their path to victory. If they run somebody like Romney, they are not winning Michigan. They are not winning Pennsylvania. It's almost certain that they aren't winning Wisconsin. And great for them. They won Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. Somehow, maybe. You still don't win the election with that. You're not winning the election with that. Now, their problem comes in 2028 when North Carolina flips. North Carolina flips, they lose. However, by that point, Minnesota will probably be shifting to the right enough to the point where they could flip it. But if they focus in the Sunbelt, say they carry... What am I doing? Say they carry these states, which they're not. They're not going to carry Arizona. They're not going to carry Georgia. Let's say somehow they manage to hang on to all of them and they hang on to Texas. They almost certainly aren't going to win the Rust Belt. If they run a candidate in 2024 that can flip these states, I guess, Arizona, Georgia, all that. If they run a candidate that flips those states, they almost certainly aren't winning the Rust Belt in 2024. And if they run a candidate in 2024 that can win the Rust Belt, they aren't carrying Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada. It's almost certainly not going to happen. So 2028 is almost gone for them unless they can shift a state like Minnesota enough to the right. If they can shift a state like New Hampshire and Maine, actually that's not even enough for them. Like, I'll bring them a tie, which will probably give them the victory. But there we go. If they can shift, say, Minnesota enough to the right, they can win. They can shift, or that's with New Hampshire blue, and that district is red. They have essentially Minnesota as their path to victory, I guess, at that point. But I mean, like, they're probably not going to win in 2024, given the candidates that they can run. That's why Ron DeSantis is viewed as such a strong candidate, because he has more appeal in the suburbs. In the Sunbelt, he has more appeal in Arizona suburbs. But I don't see him having enough appeal to the working class. And if he flips Arizona, great for him. He's not carrying Michigan. So even if he does flip Arizona, and he flips Michigan and Pennsylvania, he wins by 5 electoral votes. Good chance he doesn't flip Pennsylvania. He loses, even if he flips Arizona. If he flips Georgia, he can win. If he can flip Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin. However, if he has enough appeal in those suburbs, he's probably too establishmentarian to be able to carry Wisconsin. Probably too establishmentarian to do well enough with the working class. That's the GOP's problem. That's why their path to victory is in the Rust Belt. That's why they need to forget about the Sun Belt, essentially. Because the suburbs are already going to shift to the left. They're eventually by 2028, they would have to run like Mitt Romney. And he is basically... I mean, like, who else would they run that can win in those states in 2028? Maybe Nikki Haley, maybe. But she has, like, no appeal to the working class. That is their problem. For them to be able to win those states by 2028, they would have to lose. So they need to forget about 2028. They are almost certainly going to lose in 2028 unless they have an incredibly popular incumbent. By 2024, their path to victory is in the Rust Belt. They are almost certainly not going to carry Georgia and Arizona. Or if if they do well in the Sunbelt, they almost certainly are going to do well in the Rust Belt. For the GOP to win, or for the GOP, they are going to have to do, or they would want to do better in one of these two. It's either the Rust Belt or the Sun Belt. I don't know if any GOP candidate has enough appeal in both. We could see a GOP candidate that can win the more competitive states, so someone who could win Georgia, in Wisconsin, and maybe Pennsylvania, or maybe Arizona. But this is a possibility. Yes, this is a possibility for the GOP to win. It's definitely possible. But you would have to have enough appeal to the working class to the point. Like Trump lost Arizona against Biden, who is a salutatorian. You would have to have a really bad working class candidate like Harris, and then you would have to have someone who has as much appeal to the working class as Harris, as much appeal to black voters as like who, even Joe Manchin maybe, to be able to actually do this. It's highly unlikely. If you lose, or they're probably, if they were to carry Wisconsin, it's highly unlikely that they would carry Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin. I mean, like, the thing is, in a lot of these different regions, I mean, like, looking at this, in Wisconsin, they would, it really depends on the Democratic Party's nominee, because so far I haven't seen a GOP nominee with bags of appeal in rural areas, with appeal to the working class and appeal to the suburbs. I haven't really seen it. So they would have to focus on a bad Democratic nominee, and I don't see a Democrat having this little appeal to the working class, this little appeal to black voters, this little appeal in the suburbs to be able to win it. And you really have to look at these main demographics in all these different regions. They almost certainly aren't winning with the demographics in the Sunbelt. If they want to win, the Sunbelt is not their path. They need to forget about it. Their path to victory is through the Rust Belt. That is how they're going to win. They should not nominate a candidate that's going to win that's going to be able to carry Arizona unless they can carry the Rust Belt. It's not a very smart move. It's looking like they aren't going to do it. And honestly, the GOP probably, obviously invest in North Carolina, try to keep it red, invest in Texas, but the Democrats are already doing it. They're going to be heavily investing. So if you're the GOP, you need to be focusing on the Rust Belt. Democrats, you need to be focusing honestly on focusing on the Rust Belt. I think that the Sun Belt is going to continue to shift. I think that both parties need to be focusing more heavily on the Rust Belt. Democrats, you need to stop shooting yourselves in the foot. You need to run nominees with working class appeal so that they can carry the Rust Belt. The Sun Belt will shift to the left enough for you. GOP, you need to continue to run populist, Trumpist suburbs. The Sun Belt's going to shift away from you. You're going to have to hope that you have enough appeal to the working class, because, that's essentially your best bet. I think that both parties, I think that the GOP is definitely playing their cards better than the Democratic Party right now, which is weird, especially since the Democratic Party, I would argue, has been dealt better cards. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye!